What's up? What's up?
What's going on, Marty? How you been? What age did your knees start hurting you, Marty?
Let's see. In my 30s.
Good. I'm on the accelerated plan, man.
At least that's what I remember. That, and when I say hurt, I mean like if I took a knee in the woods or tried to kneel on church pews, like it wasn't happening.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Good, Michael. How you doing, bud?
I'm well. Tom, have you met Marty yet?
No, sir, we haven't.
Marty is he's the State Armed Forces Initiative coordinator for the state of North Carolina. He was working down at the Bragg chapter for the longest time. Marty, Tom Carpenter, works up at he runs the Peckman Fishing Education Center.
Yeah. How's it going,
Nice
Tom?
to see you. Good.
I'm
good.
also the secretary here at the Bragg Club.
Okay.
I didn't want to call you that and then have you go,
No,
How's it
couple
going?
more weeks. Well, I got to convince Teresa to take over. So we had a good talk about it.
Are you guys just meeting on Zoom meetings now, or do you meet out on Fort Bragg?
No, we just meet on Zoom because we all live on different sides of Fort Bragg. So it's just easier.
Right.
And then it allows us to open it up to membership as well.
Right. Gotcha. Excellent. Well, Michael, I went and I got my membership for BHA, so
awesome,
there you
man.
go.
Thank you for
Twisted
that.
my arm.
That's fantastic,
Yeah.
Tom. I appreciate the support, man. That's great news. Now we'll finally teach you how to fish.
Yeah, I could always use some help, honestly.
I went out with a guide buddy of ours on Sunday and floated the deep river.
Oh yeah.
That was a good time. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. All the brim are still biting.
Have you been shad fishing here yet?
I haven't targeted shad yet, no. But
No, you need to do that this spring. That'll be some of the best fishing you'll do here on the East Coast.
yeah.
Yeah.
You get to get a little bit more like coastal.
No, Cape Fear River.
Okay, I'm sure they came
Yeah,
up.
but lock one usually gets pretty hot if you got a small boat to put in down there. Just get right up there at the dam.
On my
And
Christmas list.
I'm sorry.
It's on my Christmas list.
There you go. 6-weight singing line,
Yeah.
darts, tie up. I mean, you can anything tie up bright, funky looking on
Yeah.
a size 6 hook. Will catch clousers, tiny clousers will catch shad, but they're a lot of fun, and some of them, I mean, American shad that we get 3 to 5 pounds
Yeah.
if you get a good one. So there'll be plenty of pull.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. My brother and I, he was down at Fort Benning for a class. And so I went down there to hang out with him for a little bit. And we went and fished at Chattahoochee right there on the border. And we were catching nothing but shad on bucktail jigs and floating line.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame. It used when I first moved here, it was a lot more prominent fishery on the Cape Fear than it is nowadays. But some of the best fun you'll have in the spring.
Yeah, definitely got to get out more fishing. Every time that I'm out there, I was telling my wife this, every time that I'm out there is the only time that I feel like I can see myself doing something other than the military.
Yeah, that was kind of how I was when I was in the military.
Yeah. Only fishing paid the bills.
Yeah. Well, there was always hunting and fishing was always the escape
Right.
From that stuff. So.
Yeah. Fortunately for me, I don't have too much to escape from these days.
Yeah, well, it was everything else. It's nice to have something that you're interested in that's not totally work related all the time.
Definitely. Yeah. Can't agree with that.
But then you get a job doing this stuff, then it's the same thing all the time. You don't have an
Yeah.
escape.
Yeah. I used to want to be a game warden, and then I talked to a game warden.
Yeah, well, after I was finishing up my first enlistment, and I actually applied for a job and interviewed for it. Took leave and interviewed, and then they told me how much they make, and the game warden was killed that week up there at the same time. And I got back in the car and was driving home with my wife, and I said, I think I'll just re-enlist, particularly we ain't doing too bad on the money, and nobody's shooting at me right now. So I'll just take another hitch.
Yeah, it's probably not the worst idea you could have had. Marty, when do you head out to I don't even know how you say the forest. Are you going to Nantahala?
Oh yeah, Nanahala.
Nantahala?
Yep. I was gonna go out tomorrow after work, but I won't get there till like 10:30 at night. So
What's the point? Get there in the daytime.
yeah, so I'm just gonna leave Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And because I mean I was gonna spend Saturday mostly scouting anyway, so
Right.
then no reason to get in there that late, set up in the dark, and then get to bed after midnight. And
Right, just to wake up and do
yeah,
what you're doing anyway. Yeah.
yep.
I'm jealous. I'm trying to convince Ainsley to let me go with Cooper actually at the end of the month. I want to do
Mike, do you have a bow? I thought you said you don't have a bow.
I don't have a bow, but I was thinking that'd be a great time to do some cold water fishing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too bad. Did you? I haven't looked over. I mean, there's definitely creeks in the area. I just haven't looked.
It's not a far
all the trout water, like it's not as bad as Washington or anything. Man.
Right.
If you get out there, the regs are good. God, they're convoluted. They have 3 whole different regulations books. One for fishing, one for big game, and one for small game. And the like the fidelity that they go down to the seasons by stream is insane.
Seasons by stream. I mean, I guess it's
yeah.
good, like it takes into account individual like ecosystems.
Still hungry? Okay, go ahead. Sorry, my son's here in the kitchen. He just grab another piece of homemade.
They're definitely doing management at the lowest level they can, which is good.
Yeah, it's but I get it for the fishing. And I mean they're you could give them the benefit of the doubt with the fishing by stream sort of thing, but some of the big game regs are out of control. So if you get an elk tag in Washington, you have to pick before the season starts. You have to pick if you're getting a muzzleloader tag, archery tag, or firearms tag. And it's not just limiting you to the weapon you can choose, it's the season that's allocated for each of those. Right. So if you wanted to hunt archery, but you were only available to do any hunting during the gun season, then you would be picking a gun tag and just be like, well, I'm going to hunt archery during the gun season. And that's the only time that you can harvest now.
Yeah, it's
the only thing that's relatively permissible is bear, and that's only because they don't allow any hound hunting or hunting over bait. So there's a ton of black bear.
Yeah,
but
Jersey.
That's the only thing that's just like, hey, it's season from like August until December, which is nice. And they have a spring season as long as they don't get rid of it. They have a spring season that you can draw a tag.
Interesting. Spring bear. Yeah.
But again, they outlawed dog hunting with dogs for bear a long time ago. Or I don't know about it as a long time ago, but a while. But Mikey, man, you should get you should do the CBA pro deal. I got one for my last season in Washington because muzzleloader was the only season I was going to be able to take advantage of my elk tag because of my training schedule. And it's a great deal. And those CBAs are shoot for a muzzleloader, man. They shoot lights out.
Oh yeah.
I'm honestly like, even once gun season opens up, and because my properties that I hunt is in Moore County,
Right.
And it's shotgun only there. So I don't have a rifle barrel on my shotgun. So whenever I go deer hunting this year, I'll just be using my muzzleloader now.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing at that point. If you're
I do the
It's
same
more
thing in
accurate.
Moore County. I
Yeah.
use my muzzle loader.
Yeah, they're great, and the pro deals a steal.
Yeah, they're not expensive to begin with, and then you throw
No,
the
they're not.
deal on it. And
They're not shooting muzzleloader. I mean, like once you get used to the process, it's nice.
I've shot a muzzleloader. My uncle hunts up in upstate New York with muzzleloader all the time, so I'm more familiar with those than but I've never even pulled drawn a bow. So
yeah, well, the crossbow's the easy, quick,
right,
scopes on it. It's zeroed.
right. I forget. It's more my style. Who are we waiting on? Dwayne and Tom?
Dwayne said he's going to be late. Tom said he was trying, but he had his fingers crossed. Hunter wasn't sure.
Holden's not going to make it.
Nope. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's 3. And then Alyssa just dialed in. But I don't know.
She's in another meeting. She's not going.
Okay.
She'll be in later if she makes
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she dialed in and then hung up. So she was probably just checking her connection.
Yeah. Making
So
sure
we'll-
that it's easier for it.
We'll give it 4 more minutes and we'll get rolling.
Sweet.
Because Dwayne was at the top of the list there, so we can
Okay.
always come back around to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping Teresa Wolf was going to dial in. So Teresa was at our Women in the Woods clay shoot, and then she went up to the dove hunt. And at the dove hunt, I was talking to her some more and asked her what she did, and basically she runs operations for Pfizer. And her husband's a soldier, and they're both BHA members. And I was like, I'm looking for someone to replace me. And so we talked about it. She's very interested. And she just wrote a blog post for us about that dove hunt, but it's going to probably turn into a series of 5 articles.
Nice.
Because there's so many strings to pull on it, right? Because so many of those women were new hunters. So she just did like a really descriptive, kind of captured the emotion of the day. And then, but she didn't like go into, she killed her first animal, right? Like the dove was the first thing she's ever killed, was that day. So she didn't even go into that. And then, I told her, heck, you interview the other girls, right? And get their perspectives on it. And like, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can talk about this. And she's all excited about it because, so that's good. And apparently, we're getting our lease from headquarters and
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm on outdoor access, just teasing myself all the time.
Yeah. Well, on outdoor access, those weekend trips are the deal.
Oh yeah.
Especially for stuff like waterfowl. Like,
now wait a minute, hold on. I'm on the Fallen Outdoors or whatever. What's the
So outdoor access is a nationwide, think of it as Airbnb for hunting, right? So instead of leasing for a year, there's places you can go in and hunt for $10 a day,
Yep.
right? And most of them, I mean, there's some that are $100 a day, but there's most of them will let you come in and scout before your weekend as well, or week,
Sure.
whatever. So if you like want to go to the coast and hunt some, you know, some land where maybe you can get a mixed bag of waterfowl and hog and maybe deer, you know, well, not deer. Well, yeah, deer too. And
Oh yeah.
you know, you can do a mixed bag over a week and it's cheap. And sometimes they have a trailer for you to stay in, or sometimes you just pitch in your tent, you know, but it's
Right. Interesting.
but for $65 a night, like
Can't beat it. I would do, if I found one that cheap, most of the ones, like, again, I'm teasing myself, so I'm looking at the ones that are like, you know, hundreds of acres of premier property that are
Yeah.
mixed like waterfowl, deer,
Yeah.
hog, something. And there's one I actually appreciated it. If you're gonna do waterfowl, you had to book it for a week, and you could only hunt 4 days of that week for waterfowl just to keep the pressure light. I appreciated that, but then, you know, you're spending money on the 3 other days. So that just not nice to myself. So it's either like I'm gonna get the lifetime BHA membership that comes with the Weatherby shotgun, or I'm gonna spend
Yeah.
$1,000 on a lease.
you should do both. Hi, Ainsley. All right, let's get rolling.
Let's do it. He can see it.
All right, so I don't have anything you haven't seen. I think on Signal reference headquarters, in terms of AFI, we had a local guy apply, I know, for the North American coordinator position. Andy, while not, what's the way to phrase this? While not undermining the hiring process, Andy's the one reviewing all the resumes and applications. So I think our buddy Dennis Bronzo, who's getting ready to retire, and has been looking for a job in the outdoors community, will at least get an interview.
Nice.
So that's good. So hopefully they get someone good in, and someone that can be there long term. Or, you know, I'll do it part-time.
Yeah.
To part-time telework, and they're gonna pay me the same as I would if I was full-time. So that's really that. No updates to the treasury. And we go right into event updates, and we kick off with the great Dwayne Hawley to give us a quick recap of the whitetail.
He's shy.
He is shy. Maybe he's on, but not really on. All right, Dwayne, we're going to come back to you. So public land pack out month, I think, you know, good effort. I know personally I didn't do anything near what I did last year. So, you know, I don't know how many total people we got out, but I don't think it was as many as we could have. So
Well, I mean, yeah.
we just got to reassess and figure out how to do a better job of that. And maybe it's just do it one day, you know, or 2 days, and try not to kill it like we did. And focus.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a slightly lower number, but I do think you need more than, yeah, I mean, I'd say 2 to 3 is pretty reasonable, because, you know, somebody's going to have something, you know, you're going to not do it on Labor Day weekend. And then,
Yeah.
you know, if you pick 2 weekends and go
Wolves back in.
exactly. Yeah. So I think if in the future, if we go like 2 weekends back to back,
Yeah.
you know, in the middle of the month,
Yep.
would probably be ideal. And then I mean, I know I didn't really push much on because I just thought, oh, whoever's available in the area would
Yeah.
would be showing up. But I think maybe doing a little bit to cross and touch some other public land groups or other, kind of like stakeholders.
Yeah.
The cleanup is a good time to do that. So like there's more than one like NAVDA chapter in the area. There's more than one with a lot of different chapters of people who, there's no reason we couldn't have some touch points on those. I know, I say that having not coordinated for any of that for mine. So
Yeah, I mean,
all 20
no,
hindsight.
it's all good points. I think what happened a little bit was we came up with a plan, and I think maybe we took some things for granted, like participation numbers from last year, and we just didn't get it. And I think part of it is there's definitely the advertising piece, and when we get to new business, I think I've got maybe a solution to fix some of the slow comms we're having, and maybe fix relying on the state to send out newsletters and stuff. But Dwayne, you got anything you want to talk about Whitetail Clinic?
Yeah, we can. I just some stuff that me and Deanna went over afterwards. It's just some stuff maybe we're looking at changing or going a different route with for the next one. Dee brought up a good point. If we could have the same person, year after year, kind of do like the same ones, stuff like that. But with our schedules, I mean, that's a good idea, but I don't know how feasible that would really be, to be honest with you. I know for myself, this time next year, I have no idea, what's going to be thrown at me. There was some access issues, which, I mean, that was out of our control. I mean, we had coordinated with those guys prior. Then when we got there that morning, everybody needed an access pass, either if you were riding with somebody or not. And then as far as the location, I don't really have any other ideas of, as where we may do it at. The walleye place is great, but when we're doing the classes outside and everything, you get the range right there, and it makes it difficult a lot of times to when you're trying to get a class and there's the line's hot. It's
Well, we could. Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to do classes inside, there's no reason why we couldn't do it in McKellar's Lodge.
Yeah.
Right? Like we could pay the rental fee for that. And then do the outside stuff outside, but do the inside stuff inside, and that would make sense. So I think after the clinic, maybe we had a conservation partner call. And one of the things that we brought up, and I've talked to Deet with probably 3 times now, because he's followed up with it, is I'm like, hey, we're all about hunter and fisher angler development, but we're not doing any, we as a whole, right, aren't doing any mentor development, right? So the idea, you just said it, we cannot have the same guys teaching the same class every year. But what we can do a better job of is saying, hey, doesn't matter that last year was your first year hunting. Come be my assistant instructor, because your experience is much more relatable to the new hunter than mine is, because I've been hunting for so long, right? I don't remember what it was like. And so
and that's what is why I'm so glad Hunter was there. I mean, that was
perfect.
Just be able to go from, hey, this time last year I was sitting where you are, and now I'm here, a year later. So it was really good to have him there to talk that part of it.
Well, let's get the AAR stuff on paper, so we can have it for planning later. And I know Hunter has some things he owes me on paper too from feedback for it. So, and then, like you said, there's things we can't control, but the whole reason we do it there is so we can
Yeah.
have access to the walk-in cooler and all that, so they know what facilities are there for them.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, and to me, that makes perfect sense. I mean, if they're gonna be hunting brag, they're gonna have to go there anyways,
Right.
Hey,
And
so. And I'm now a North Carolina Hunters Ed instructor.
Okay,
So we can add that as a preceding event, and then maybe do another one after because of word of mouth and get people ready for September.
okay.
So we can kind of add that in there because, online's great, but it's not the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so moving along, recap the fly fishing clinic stuff again, and then just talk a little bit more about the partnership with Hessman. And Tom, feel free to jump in anytime on that. So for everybody that joined late, Tom runs the Hessman Fishing Education Center and is also a brand new, spanking new BHA member.
Yeah, so originally, a guy that we now all know, Connor Sherrill, guide up out of the Greensboro area, had approached me about wanting to do some sort of fishing event for veterans. As a fly fishing guy primarily, so we started looking into how we were going to do this, and that led me to Tom and Elisa through fortunate timing that Elisa happened to reach out to Luke around the same time that I was reaching out for resources. So the fly fishing clinic turned into a basic introduction for adults fishing. Unfortunately, I think there was miscommunication probably on my end. We started sending out the advertisements, and the participation turnout was disappointingly low. And secondly, the target audience became kids as opposed to adults. Me and Tom had sat down a week after that, I think, and kind of hashed all that out. Not a lot to talk about there, just making sure that we have better kind of targeting for our audience. But I think what really came down out of that was, rather than necessarily making a BHA specific event or instruction that requires kind of like a lot of organization and coordination on our end, they're already doing these programs at Peckman, and where we can support our membership and the community and the building an angler base is by kind of being a feeder, getting people to Peckman, utilizing that resource, get them trained up, and then have a handoff back to BHA, kind of dovetailing off of what you were just saying, Marty, and becoming those mentors. That is really kind of where BHA is probably most useful, I would say. Tom, I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just to tell you a little bit about what we do at the Peckman Center. It's ran by and operated by the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. We're the only fishing education center in the state. We have another education center. We're one of two now. There was three, but they closed one down. But we're the only one dedicated toward angling skills. And you guys have probably already heard the whole thing about R3, which is recruitment, retention, and reactivation. You're probably pretty familiar with that now. That is just really kind of our entire mission at the Peckman Center. It's we're dedicated to recruiting new anglers and increasing fishing participation. But also the state, the Wildlife Commission is beginning to put more emphasis on R3. So this entire thing, whether it's hunting or fishing or whatever, it is going to be really kind of moved up to the forefront of a lot of things that we do. And the new director that we have now has said that this is a agency priority. So it's right in line with some of the things I'm hearing you guys are doing it on the hunting side of things as well. We're just kind of focused on the fishing part of it.
What's the name of the R3 coordinator for angling at the state? I met her at Camp Lejeune.
Her name is Madeline David.
Yeah. So I met her and I gave her kind of the BHA rundown. And so she saw what we do for the hunting R3
Right.
GSOs. And she was like, yeah, we need to talk. So
Right.
well, I know we'll get that support.
So at any rate, what you guys, I'm hearing you guys say is the mentoring situation is what you're having a difficulty with. I've only got 3 staff that work with me. 2 of them are permanent employees. 1 is temporary or a seasonal employee. So what we rely on at the Peckman Center very heavily is volunteer corps. And we do everything right up to the fly fishing stuff. And we've developed a volunteer handbook. We've developed volunteer training. And we do have awards and that type of stuff that we put out. We work with the Presidential Volunteer Service Awards. That becomes part of it, which really kind of motivates people to get into it. But we have volunteers at the center. Some will give us upwards of 300 hours a year annually. So that's how we pull this off. So there may be some additional insight that I would be more than happy to help you guys with along those lines. If you're interested, I'm sit and talk to you at any time about it. And I'm a little bit off track because I'm hearing a lot of different things and I get excited when you guys start talking about this stuff. So it's this whole R3 thing is what gets me out of bed in the morning. So I'm a lifelong hunter. I'm just not a fisherman. Matter of fact, there was a couple of years when I was into archery competitions that I just about shot myself into a divorce. So
well, I almost fished myself in a divorce at one point. When
yeah,
I came home
well,
with like $2,000 worth of Orbis gear, and my wife went, "What the hell are you doing?"
yeah, well, when I found a way to get paid for it, my wife didn't mind it so much anymore. So, it's all good.
Darn it, I forgot what I was going to say before that. I started to say something you had mentioned about R3 mentorship, but it'll come to me. Anyway, I think what we should do is this. Mike, if you can put together a 1-pager that then we can post on the website in the resources section, and then we can do a series of like Instagram posts about it.
Sure.
And hey, Alyssa, and
Hi.
and the 1-pager would be outline the opportunities to volunteer, right?
Yeah.
As a mentor at the Peckman Center, so we can help drive that. Because I know what I was going to mention is that each of those volunteers hours gets paid back, right? Through Pittman Robertson to the state. Like there's a matching.
Yeah, it's almost $30 an hour.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So the more people we get out there, the more money we help the state generate.
Yeah, it's that's the whole tie thing is our 75% of our entire operating budget comes out of that federal grant money that we have at the Peckman Center. So fishing licenses pay for it through sport fish restoration funds. So basically what we're doing, and because we provided free programs, we're essentially just providing programs to people that have already paid for it. And that's kind of the way we look at it. So it's their money, and we have kind of a duty to try to put on outstanding programs for them that they can enjoy. And it's a cycle that feeds itself. But I like the idea of cross promoting with you guys, and I really like the idea. It could be a BHA only event or a recruitment deal for BHA. I'm all for that. I love what you guys are doing from that standpoint. So that's what got me really interested in the organization. because you're one of the few, well, Wild Turkey Federation talks a lot about mentoring and the R3 thing. They're really good at it as well. But you're one of the few organizations out there that has really got that on the forefront of what you're doing. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we
Um,
you know, one of our taglines is we don't ask for your money as a BHA member, we ask for your time, right?
Yeah,
And that's what so everybody has time, everyone has different amounts of time, so if we can get a piece of that time, you know, great. So Alyssa, I won't put you on the spot.
All right.
We can come back to you if you want. So we're just talking about the partnership in general.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you have ideas or thoughts, you know, the mic's yours, or we can come back to you later, whatever your preference is.
Did you guys already talk about the fly fishing training, instructor training, Tom?
no, not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll bring that up. And then also just kind of the only thing I really had to talk about was the events we were kind of planning for April and May before you guys go out on your fly fishing trip to Pisgah.
Yeah, go ahead, lead into that. But let me give some clarification. So the fly fishing camp, it's a day of waiting for trout, a day of drift boat for trout, a day of drift boat for warm water species,
Okay.
and maybe a part day on Monday. I'm not sure yet, but it's only open to 6 to 8 participants.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it's small group and experience level doesn't matter. That's not to say we can't tie in these fly fishing clinics leading up to it and tie them together in a package, right, that says, hey, these are all the fly fishing related things we have going on.
Yeah. So on October 30th and 31st, Peckman Center is having a volunteer training for fly fishing instructors, which your leadership is invited to. With the purpose of that is to kind of get your leadership also at the level of being able to train your own participants and everything like that, get them to be volunteers, all that fun stuff. So I have a registration link for that if anybody wants to participate with that. And then we scheduled a beginning fly fishing workshop for April 30th for you guys, so that your participants for your camp will have a chance to get learn their basic fly fishing skills, learn about tackle, learn about rods, learn a couple of basic casts. And then on May 14th, we're working on developing a warm water fly fishing program. So we'll also go into, since trout are only really fishable for part of the year when the water's cold enough, you're going to want to transition into warmer water for the summer. And we'll be going over tactics for that and gear, different species that you can target, different methods for fly fishing for them. So we're working on creating that as well, which I
Awesome.
feel like is going to tie in great to your campus.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited about all that. And I think we'll do a big push to get folks out there on the 30th, 31st. I'm trying to think how we can tie in a trunk or treat with that, right? And like give it's Halloween excuse and people an out. But yeah, well, we can definitely push that out.
I know signed up for that. I'm not sure if Holden was. I know he's been busy, but I think you and I are probably the only ones that here at Fly Fish Market. I'm not sure if Cooper.
Yeah,
does.
but we've got so I think we have other resources like Connor, right?
Yeah.
That would be interested in doing that. And we have a bunch of members that fly fish that just aren't on the board.
Right. That are
Right.
pretty-
So so for example, the USASOC G39, Jason Smith is retiring. Colonel Jason Smith is retiring in July of next summer. And I've already connected him with a bunch of guides because what he wants to do is freelance.
Nice.
So he would come out, he would love to spend time at the Peshman teaching people how to fly cast. I guarantee you that. Like when I email him this tomorrow, he's going to be like, hell yeah. So
Let me give you a little bit of background on the training if I can. We developed a training. We have a pretty specific way of teaching. And it's based off of what I learned from the Wolf School, Joan Wolf School.
yep.
And basically, I spent 7 days up there getting yelled at by what was then an 88-year-old woman. So it was pretty cool. But the reason we adopted that, her methods, I guess is the best way to say it, is because it's just like military training, and she runs it like a military camp. I mean, the instructors teach exactly the same way, and she doesn't allow them to deviate or add any extra to it. I mean, if you go, it doesn't matter where you go to learn marksmanship in the military, that instructor is going to be teaching you the same way as the guy, if you're on Fort Benning, as the guy at Fort Bragg. It doesn't matter. So that's basically what she did. But what we found was it's just very easy to teach this method because it's visual, it's tactile, and people can pick it up a whole lot better. So it is a deviation from what has been the prominent videos from Lefty Cray and some of the other people that are out there. There are some things that just don't change in fly casting, but what we do is we basically have 2 levels right now. The first day you'll learn to cast, like she teaches the cast, and that afternoon we'll teach you how to teach that cast and the roll cast and the pickup cast. And then when we come back in on Sunday, we'll do the same thing, but then we're talking about false casting and changing planes and shooting line. And shoot, there's something else. I can't remember what the heck it is right now, but
Picking leads. So
yeah, it's an exercise. It's a wrist exercise, but the basis of all of it is that it's a consistent, repeatable method of casting and teaching casting that anybody can pick up and learn with basically just some practice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's how we do it. So we will, I think we've only got a handful of people signed up. So the more that we can get people on board with it, the quicker we can, will give us a better idea about whether we're going to be able to make the class or not.
We'll do a big push this next week. What are
Thank you.
the age restrictions?
Really like to keep it to 16 or older.
Okay, that's perfect. Because I was thinking if we can start bringing 16-year-olds in
Yeah.
and then get them like them teaching kids, like,
Yep.
that's
a great idea.
You know,
And,
generally the hours for the class on Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday, 9 to 3.
Okay.
We're looking at 9 to 3 for both days.
Perfect.
It might break a little bit earlier. It depends. Sundays, it depends on how bad everybody's dragging, because it is a lot of casting, but we try to push it in, and we try to make it worth their while. And the other key to that is that we get them back and they practice teaching. And I'll tell you, Joan does not cut any slack with that stuff, because when I was at the class, I was probably one of the few people that were teaching already on a regular basis. And I was leaving. She says, "When are you teaching? How soon are you going to teach?" I said, "Well, thought I had a good answer." I said, "Joan, I got a class in 2 weeks." And she says, "No, that's not soon enough."
right.
So it's a perishable skill is the point, that if we're wanting to mentor people into being mentors, we have to stress that practice.
Well, it's
Sorry,
awesome. No,
I
you're
don't mean to
good.
dominate everything.
No, you're good. It's it's awesome for us that folks will have a place where they can go instruct that's not
Right.
far from home, right? It just
Right.
makes it easier. So, all right, we got a lot of homework to do on this, so we'll get hot on it. Mikey, we're gonna keep taking the lead, and where you need help, ask for help, right? And we'll give you help. So
Tom,
moving on
Marty,
to
can for a second?
December.
Sorry.
Marty. Hey Tom, haven't met yet. I'm Cooper. I'm also a board member.
Hey,
And
Cooper.
been down to Lake Rim and saw y'all's facility. Love to come check it out sometime. It sounds like there's a lot of good stuff going on there. Circling back though, you talked about the emphasis of R3. I was just wondering if you guys, if the NC Wildlife or the DNR has shared, or if there's any sort of guidance on how they see R3 that is, below the public eye or something, just to make sure that we're kind of all talking about the same language. Obviously, BHA has got, it's a core part of what we're trying to do. But when we look at just streamlining, or when we're messaging, like trying to join in on y'all's stuff, if there's something for dissemination about what y'all's priorities are for R3.
I'll say it this way: they're working it out. So it's pretty new, and it's a shift from where our thinking has been in the past. But I'll tell you that what I take my cues off of are from a fellow by the name of Matt Dunphy from the Wildlife Management Institute.
Sure.
And he's done a lot of work on that. I don't know if you guys have heard about him or not. Bob Burns is another person that's been heavily engaged in that stuff. But what one of the core things is it really changes a perspective or a paradigm, if you will. And one of the things that he says is that the problem with R3, and we can have a meeting about this at some point if you guys want to have a full discussion about it, but R3, or these recruitment activities that we've always tried, we were real good about getting people interested in an activity, whether it's hunting or fishing or anything, but then we didn't have anything from them for them to go from that initial awareness phase into a continued phase. So the way we're looking at it now, the way I look at it is, we can get people started, but we want to pass them off to people like you guys, your organizations, Ducks Unlimited,
Opportunity Outdoors,
someplace that's going to say, hey, we can get these guys out here hunting, or we can get them fishing. I also work with Project Healing Waters, which takes guys on trips and stuff like that. So my personal view is that we want to get them started, and I'm really focused on the leadership part of it. Is the goal of leadership is not to create followers, it's to create new leaders, just like we all learned in the military. So I like the idea that you guys are on the same sheet as I am about mentoring people into mentor positions. And what we have done at the Peckman Center is we've written programs and came out with we've got plans of instruction and lesson plans and equipment and all that stuff. But and we've done that so that it can be repeatable. And the second point is that it's not necessarily a bad thing. But when we tried these, what we're calling R3 efforts now, we've overserved kids. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't serve them, but I'm saying that we've missed generations of people that could have been hunters and fishermen, and we've not kept up with continuing to give them something to go to. So that's part of the thing we're coming out with. A 30-year-old guy didn't want to sit in a class with a 6-year-old and learn about fishing. So particularly if he doesn't have a 6-year-old. So we're having to gear programs toward those guys too, and provide them the support that you guys are providing them and that type of stuff. So
Yeah, I'll chime in on that, Coop, because so I'm working with Chet Clark, who is in charge of R3 for NCWRC. So like
Okay.
Madeline, who's the angling coordinator for R3, and Deep James, who's the hunting, he's their boss, right?
Gotcha.
So I know that they have hired a pro to come in and help them rewrite objectives and things like that. And I've offered, he knows what my background is. And I was like, hey, I'll do that shit for free, right? Send me whatever drafts you want. If you want someone to check his work, just send it to me, right? Because that's what I've been doing the last 35 years. So
Yeah, I think you're picking up what I'm putting down, Marty.
Yeah,
that,
for
like,
sure.
where's the end states, or where's the like priorities?
yeah, so the
You know,
mentor
looking at
development,
reactivation instead of recruitment
yep,
is
the mentor
different.
the mentor development is new for them, and they're relying heavily on conservation partners, right? So Opportunity Outdoors is all about teaching, they want us to get them started, and then they want to take them from there, right? New Hill Hunting Education Center, same, they do it soup to nuts, and they have a year-long, almost 2-year-long program for new hunters. But the prerequisite is you go through a Getting It Started Outdoors program. So they recognize, based on the conversations we've had, that like, hey, you got to teach people and give them confidence to be mentors, right? And give them opportunities and let them realize it's not as hard to do as you might think, right? You don't have to have tons of experience. You just have to master the basics, right? If you can master the basics, you go out and mentor someone.
well, this is what we're looking at the Peckman Center too. And I'll tell you that professional is Matt Dunphy. And I don't know anybody. I've looked over a whole lot of stuff, and I don't know anybody other than maybe Bob Burns that's really kind of keyed in on this stuff like he has. And it, for most of the agencies across the country, this is out of the box thinking. And as I said before, our thinking has always been geared toward kids in the past. So we're trying to crush that paradigm and go to something beyond that at this point. It's right on par with what you guys are doing, and we can provide some of that help on the fishing side of things. Also, I just wanted to say that I understand what you're doing with out there at McKellar's Lodge and stuff like that, trying to get guys associated with what's going on. But if you're wanting to hold a meeting and you're in a pinch with something out there, I'll make the center available to you guys as a resource as well.
That's awesome, because there's lots of stuff that we try to do outside of Fort Bragg just for access, right? Issues alone. So
well, we have a pretty good classroom with,
you have a great facility
with good AV and that type of stuff as well. So
yeah,
Getting Jem back there.
yeah, our wildlife branch does not look like Camp Lejeune's wildlife branch, which is a freaking phenomenal facility.
is
right.
Alan Schultz still out there?
Alan Schultz is still at Bragg. Yep.
Yeah, he's an old friend of mine. He's a good guy.
All right, so let's move on to December. Just real quick, Mikey, give us an update, and I'll get Kylie to come on the next meeting.
Sure.
So for the upland, like, we're more facilitating than anything. They're putting together the program of instruction and working with the Rough Grouse Society to bring in dogs and instructors for the upland. And then, I'll just throw, we need to start hitting up the sponsors right?
Yeah, I've already started that process.
Yep, and get that stuff in, and yeah, so you can take it from there.
Sure. So I set myself a little suspense for Friday to be contacting all the volunteers that have been reaching out to me over the last month since we started pushing the waterfowl on Instagram. So tomorrow, you guys will all be a part of that as well, just in case you know somebody who might be interested in filling some gaps. So be on the lookout for that. That was just going to be have a rough con op. I'm really not reinventing the wheel based off what we did last year. It's going to be I think we're doing it earlier than we did last year. It's a 7 a.m. start, which might be a little bit deterrent to some people, but I think a way to rope them in instead of just providing them the lunch, if we can do like a late breakfast kind of round table discussion on R3 conservation and stuff, and then kind of a lunch as well in there to kind of round things out. So basically the first half of the portion is going to be the biology discussions, conservation discussions, BHA, NCWRC partnership, kind of like Deet and Luke double tapped last year. I think I'm going to need to find somebody to replace Deet if I read his email traffic correctly.
Yeah, so he reached out to his boss and said, hey, let's get someone there.
Sweet.
Even if it's Chet himself. So
Sure.
I can follow up if you want me to, or you can follow up. It's up to you.
I'll hit him up. Yeah, we were trading email
Okay.
traffic earlier this week, so it should be fresh.
I'm trying to. This year, one of my goals was to break Deed off the Marty
Yeah.
in a little bit, right? Like, and let him know, hey, I'm coordinating for overall stuff, but we have event leads, and
Sweet.
so don't just go to me. All right, so go ahead. Sorry.
So also still waiting for a contact back from the FBDU guys. So I'm probably gonna be reaching out to them. They'll also be in that email tomorrow. So hopefully they just get annoyed with the email spam that I'm sending them.
Are you sending it to their organizational email?
No, I sent it to their personal organization.
Yeah. Send it to their organizational, because what happens is it doesn't get communicated across everyone then.
I hear you. Yeah, I figured if I just included Dennis and JP that the point would get across, but I'll put in the
Yeah,
official-
I'll just say that the last contact I had with JP is like, when was this planned? And I'm like, 8 months ago when I told you about the date, and then 3 months ago when I hit you up at this event and I said, hey, you guys still want to partner with us, right? And I've talked to Dennis, your treasurer, 3 times like since then. And so, and Dennis was like, dude, use our organizational email, that way we all see it. And I'm like, cool.
Sweet. So they'll be on that one tomorrow. So I'll be looking for them for probably either if they got any DU sweat they want to contribute, or obviously instructors, and then their biologists. Then the afternoon, same kind of deal as last year. It's gonna be 4 different classes in a round robin fashion. Basically just copied Andy's con op from last year for that. You guys can see, take a look at it. Cooper, you can evaluate my product making skills and see if I've lost the steps since Triple C. I still would like to get some people to come out on a hunt prior to, see if we can provide some downed birds to see for wild game prep, clicking and cleaning.
Yep.
So if anybody is interested in that, just hit me up and we'll start getting things planned. And
Yeah.
then the only kind of difference that I'm deviating from last year is, instead of having the set day that everybody's going to go out and mentor on the military end of season, special season, being that we did the clinic like the week before that season started anyway. So since we're a little earlier in the season, basically it's just a no later than by the end of the military season. The goal is to have everybody have been mentored on a hunt. So
Yep.
we'll take the volunteers, whatever time works best for them, and then like a sign up roster for the participants to kind of fill in the slots that work best to their schedules. I also plan on reaching out to places like was it Firehouse Outfitter and Battle Scarred Outdoors, and see if they might be willing to donate some trips, just to kind of ease the pressure on people who might not be comfortable mentoring quite yet.
And remember, we have ammo,
Yeah. Yep.
right? So mounting and potentially just, even if it's just shooting clays,
Yep.
or just getting, if someone's never fired a shotgun, giving them that opportunity, right? We got plenty of ammo for that.
Yeah, I think we ran a little quick through the round robins last year, so maybe we add that as like a fifth one or take one out.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons why we went late and we rushed. And I was like, it's gotta be a full day. This is like a fire hose, right? So let's not have time be a factor. If we finish early, we finish early. That's great. But let's not feel like we're running over and people have made plans to leave and get their kids. And
Yeah.
but I love the breakfast idea, and that's something we can do, one, on the cheap, but two, we'll get reimbursed for.
Right. Yeah. I figured either like how we did last year, you were kind enough to do the chili venison or the venison chili, something like that, maybe in the morning, and then a brown bag lunch.
Yeah, or we can do both. Like we can do breakfast burritos,
Sure.
right?
Let's do mermites.
Yeah, we'll play that
Hey,
in.
we do have some culinary award winners within the command, so from the Chow House. All right.
So the only other thing, Marty, real quick before we pivot off that, I got a hit back from Mojo's head of marketing. Might be interested in making a product donation. I want to know a little bit more on the particulars of raffling. I know we only have a certain amount of those we can do a year. Just give me where my left and right limits are on. I'm not going to turn down anybody's good fortune, so we're going to have it. If he wants to give it, we're going to have it. I just don't know if we can do it at this event.
So we can do a raffle at an event and not worry about it.
Okay.
Okay. The state of North Carolina does not care about Fort Bragg BHA Club.
Yeah.
Right. What they do care about is, Ducks Unlimited bringing in $150,000 on a raffle.
Sure.
Right.
I gotcha.
So the state has to worry about how many events they do a year, kind of. We're playing by two different states' rules right now. We're governed by Montana and North Carolina, apparently, and they're working that out because that's not a good answer. But yeah, it doesn't matter to us. If we want to raffle items off at the thing, we can do that.
Sweet.
And if they want to give us a big ticket item, like that we can save for next year's raffle for the trip to Costa Rica, then we will need additional prizes for that raffle.
Yeah, I'll clue him in. I'll keep that in my next email to him.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Next one is also, all the Pint Nights are scheduled and up to date. The only thing that we had talked about was, I like it when we have them on days where we have events, right? But like by and large, everywhere else in the state, they've been running them on weekdays on the slowest night for that brewery.
Right.
Because then you're more of an impact for them. Right. So like I talked to Rail House and I'm like, what's your slow night? And they're like, come Wednesdays. Right. I'm like, no problem. 6 to 8, do something small like that. And then we have a better chance of getting some money back off that. If Hunter was on, I'd ask him for an update on bow storage. But I talked to our deputy commanding officer at SWIC about it. And he was like, yeah, let me know if, you need command emphasis on that, because it just makes too much sense. Because, hey, like he said, my bow's in my truck right now. I said, so is everybody else's, and it's not supposed to be, right? And like, we got a solution to fix that. So, so moving on to new business, con ops are great, but if we don't have those Word documents format, like with all the details, and we didn't have it for last year's waterfowl, but we have them for the other events, and I kind of started one. That's the sheet that has everything, right? It has the emails for the people you contacted. It has the AAR comments. It's all in one document. So I love the con ops to like do the pitches, but in terms of like someone not having been here this year and picking it up next year, right? That's what's going to help them. And okay, so I gave myself, so just a little personal insight, I start off pretty hot and heavy on this, and then was having no problem with that, and then let myself get talked into being the state coordinator, and that's led to me getting a little burned out and recognize I'm not giving myself any time. So what I did is I created myself just business hours, right? So Wednesday 6 to 8 is my BHA time. And if I want to get home from work and sit on my ass and watch TV or shoot my bow on Monday night or Tuesday night, I've kind of given myself that permission. So kind of just a lesson learned there. So if you see me not be as responsive, that's why. Last item of new business from me. So I talked about, this communication thing and the email list, and like, here's what I'm thinking is the way to head. I go into the national database and I pull our membership for BHA within a 75-mile radius of Fort Bragg. And I export that list and I put that email list into a newsletter software program that integrates with our website. Like, pick one, they all have an integration suite, right? And then in that first newsletter we send out, we say, hey, you're receiving this because Ainsley said she would write the newsletter every month or every 2 weeks. And so one, the newsletter will give them the opportunity to opt out, right? And two, we can have a link right on our website that says sign up for our newsletter, right? And then it's just a matter of, we have to be consistent. And if we're going to do it once a month or every 2 weeks, I wouldn't do it more frequently than that, because you just become spam for people. But if we can be consistent and we basically have a format, and it's like, here's what we got going on for the next 3 months, and we send that out once a month, and here's a last minute thing, and then it doesn't have to be the same person that does it, because it's templated, right? And we could share that wealth, and you could say, Mike's going to do it this month, Tom's going to do it next month, Wayne's going to do it next month, or whatever, right? The other thing is, with it being most of those now, you can, just like with the Instagram business account, like which ours is, right? You can queue posts. So you can build the newsletter, have it done a week or two ahead of time, and just have it go out automatically on a specific date and time. So you don't have to worry about the deadline. Ainsley, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I was just more asking because I know that this is stuff that she does.
I
So
know.
it sounded familiar to her. Obviously, that makes the learning curve a lot less steep.
Yeah.
I mean to ask you again, what software are we using for the website?
So it's just Squarespace.
Okay. Yeah.
It's too simple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I was telling her, we were talking about it earlier this week, that we wanted to get the newsletter going. I don't mind. I know everybody else is busy. I've got nothing to do. So
Yeah.
for the first, depending on how quickly we get this up and running, for the first couple of months, if we want to do it monthly, I don't mind like taking the lead on that. She can spin me up on all the workings, because it's probably or whatever program that she's going to use.
Yeah, I
Mikey,
just
what's
want to
the
use one
projected-
that's,
What was that, Coop?
January or April?
Oh, dude, January now. I was supposed to be this month, but my brother's getting married next week. So instead of going to see her, I'm
Gotcha.
gonna do that.
Yeah, so
but
let's-
January. Okay, never mind. I'll hit him up later. Don't worry about it.
no, that's cool. So let's set a deadline for our first newsletter to go out on or about the 15th of November.
15th of November.
That gives me a deadline to, and Ainsley, what I'll do is I'm going to create you a administrator account for the website.
Okay.
And I'm going to go in the backside and figure out which survey, or not survey, but newsletter package comes with the website. Because
Okay.
I'm 100% sure there is one, or there's an integrated, preferred integration one, right? And then we can go from there.
Okay.
And we'll pay you in whatever Michael can afford.
Yeah.
Cookies.
Cookies works.
All right.
I have a 4-year-old and a daughter that make cookies damn near every day, so that's pretty easy.
I want you to think about like who you just the parallel there that you drew. It's About accurate.
Oh, yeah, you know, I started off in a double wide trailer with my wife, so you're already way ahead. All right, anybody else got anything new business wise? Thomas, you surviving this, the slave labor there that you work for?
He's here in spirit.
He is.
I'm with you guys. I'm with you.
You surviving work?
Yeah, I'm making it. We're trucking along.
All right.
No, we-
If you got to sit out of that Montana trip, I know that would just be a heartbreaker for you. But if you're struggling to find people to take it, I volunteer, I guess.
Yeah, I just dropped my $500 on my hunting license package for
Never mind.
well, because it was just whitetail and now they made it waterfowl and fishing and all that costs money. And I just went like, okay, I'm only doing the 10-day upland bird. I'm not going to pay for a whole year, right? And week-long fishing, but I'm also going to get up there 2 days early. So I plan on shooting deer before camp starts is my plan. So, all right. Also, just a reminder, I'll be out in the mountains of North Carolina scouting for next year's deer camp and hopefully killing something too. So I might shoot you guys a link to make sure my my SAP messenger update is working. It should provide live map feeds. Well, it should provide hourly updates of my location, but that's something like we could maybe play with to do some Instagram stories or stuff later. Like when Tom and I go to Montana, you know, we could Instagram journal our trip or whatever. But
IG live, all that stuff. And
yeah, we can work on that. Yeah, anybody else got anything? Thanks for coming out, especially our friends at Peckman. I can't help but say Peshman because you know it's German for fish. It's kind of, I don't know, it just happens in my brain. Yeah, so next meeting 4th of November, and we'll just work on the stuff we work with and touch base on Signal as we need to. Thanks, everybody.
I'd like to say
For having
thanks
us.
to all you guys for giving me the opportunity to tell you about the center and talk to you. If you guys need anything, feel free to give me a call.
thanks for all the support, Tom. Really appreciate it.
And thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Tom,
no
I need to know
problem.
the deal on. I need to know the deal on Lake Rim, man. I went out there a couple months ago and didn't catch a damn thing.
Did
Dynamite.
you get out on a kayak?
No, I was on a canoe.
That was the problem. You had to be in a kayak.
Oh, kayaks. Yeah, there you go.
I mean,